See, today we started learning something called as Terraform, right? See, the problem here is if I'm writing something, I cannot able to like delete one line or two line. I need to delete an entire page here. So that is the problem. Okay, that's fine. So now, first tell me, what do you mean by a infrastructure? What is this infrastructure? See, I hope everybody know what is infrastructure, but let me repeat. In your general day-to-day terms, infrastructure is nothing but road is an infrastructure, right? Your uh, building is an infrastructure. Your office building is an infrastructure. Your bridges, right? Your bridges or flyovers are the infrastructures in your day-to-day activities, in your daily life. But in terms of your computer science or in terms of your software industry, IT, right? What is infrastructure? See, your laptop might be an infrastructure. And how to define this infrastructure? See, infrastructure is nothing but resource required to perform your day-to-day activities. If I'm not wrong, what is this infrastructure in terms of computer science or software industry? It is nothing but a resource required to perform your day-to-day activities. Okay, that is your laptop is the one thing to work on a daily basis. What is the other thing? See, you ultimately will work. Let's say you are developing an application known as Flipkart, right? Now, if you want to host this application, what do you need? You need a infrastructure. What infrastructure you need? You need a EC2 machine. You need a Route 53. You need a CloudFront. You need a load balancer, S3 bucket, EBS volumes. Just like this. All these things, we call it as an infrastructure. Okay. Infrastructure required to host your application. This laptop is an infrastructure to work on your day-to-day activities. Okay, these are the two infrastructures you need. I hope everybody understood what is infrastructure here. Fine. Now, see, in this infrastructure, see, this is completely a story, sir. You just need to remember that's it. Okay. So now, in infrastructure, let me see. I cannot delete single word. 1 second, sir, please. Okay, it is working fine. Okay, so now in infrastructure, how you're going to create infrastructure? You're going to create infrastructure in 3 ways. Okay, what is the first way, sir? First way is, see, using your AWS console. Please remember, where you are going to create this infrastructure, again, you are going to create on cloud. Same thing. Your EC2 machines, your VPC, your network. Okay. Before getting into this, first, let me tell you what is an infra here. In simple, infra is nothing but hardware, software, network, people, process, all put together, we call it as an infrastructure here. Okay, please remember this. Now, Now, how to create an infrastructure? That is the question. Okay. So how to create the infrastructure? The first way is using your AWS console. All in simple, using console. It might be AWS console, Azure console, GCP console, any console. What you will do, you'll just log into your AWS account. You'll start clicking on some buttons, launch EC2 instance, create S3 bucket. You'll just click on those buttons and you'll start creating the infrastructure. Correct? You already did this. Now, there are other two methods. Second method of creating infrastructure is using something called as, we call it as an imperative method. Okay. See, the first way of creating infrastructure is using AWS console. The second way of creating infrastructure is using something called as imperative way. What is this imperative way? Here you will use, one second. Here you will use any programming language. You might be using some programming language. It might be Python. It might be your shell script. You'll start using this programming language, and at the end of the day, what you will do, you will create a infrastructure. This is what you will do. In where you will do this, you will do this in imperative method. Okay. In imperative method, you are going to use some programming language. Using this programming language, you will be creating the infrastructure. So don't get confused. You are not learning, you learn this Python, but not for creating the infrastructure. I just wanted to take you step by step. Okay. Why there is something called as Terraform. What are the problems with these things? That is the reason I'm explaining all these things. Okay. So in imperative method, you will be using some programming language to create this infrastructure. Okay. So how will you create an infrastructure in imperative method? You are going to create into a step-by-step manner. You are going to create this infrastructure into a step-by-step manner. That is, let's say I want to create a EC2 instance using imperative method, using programming language. First, what I need to create? First, I need to create VPC. Then I need to create a security group. Then I need to create subnets, right? Then I need to create a key pair. Then I need to create a EC2 machines. Okay. For creating all these things, what you will do, you're going to write some program using Python programming language or shell script. Okay, this is how you are going to create an infrastructure using imperative method. Fine. So now, if somebody asks you, what do you need to say? What is imperative method? Imperative is nothing but it is a step-by-step approach. It is a step-by-step approach to create the infrastructure using programming languages, using Python, using shell script. That is what you need to say. Nobody will ask you generally. Imperative method is nothing but a step-by-step approach to create the infrastructure using programming language. Fine. Now I'm just delete this. Okay, it is working at least. One second, let me clear this. I want these points. So that's right. Okay. Okay. Now, what is imperative method? In imperative method, you will be having step-by-step approach to create an infrastructure. And here you are going to use some programming language to create the infrastructure. This is the first point. Now, what are the problems associated with your imperative method? The first problem is if you are creating an infrastructure using imperative method, then you need to create a lot of documents here. That is the first problem. You need to create, whenever you create a new infrastructure, you need to create a lot of documents for it. That is the first problem. The second problem in imperative method is it is not scalable. It is not a scalable approach. What do you mean by scalability? Scale in, scale out, increasing the resources or decreasing the resources. That is, let's say now I'm writing a script using Python. I'm using a Python as a programming language, and I wanted to create a EC2 machine using Python programming. What I'll do, I'll create everything in step-by-step manner in this here, and I'll start executing. Okay, this is for one EC2 instance. Now, if I want 10 or 100 EC2 instance, what I need to do? I need to copy or execute the same script 100 times. 100 times I need to copy the script, then I need to execute the scripts. Then only I can able to create these 100 EC2 machines. So, do you really think is it going to possible? Yes, it is possible, but it is going to be a manual way, right? Like you need to copy, execute all those things. It will take a lot of time. So what is the problem here? The problem here is it is not a scalable approach. The first problem is you need to create a lot of documents. The second problem here is it is not a scalable approach. That is the second one. Okay. The third problem here is what is the third problem? See, now I'll create one EC2 instance. This is day one. Please focus here. Day one, I'll create a EC2 instance. This EC2 instance consists of Apache as a web server. This is on day one. Day two, again, I have a same EC2 instance, same EC2 instance, same thing, no changes. Okay. First day, same EC2 instance, Apache to web server. Second day, same EC2 instance, again, same Apache to web server. On 30th day, same EC2 instance, but what my manager will say, see Sachin, please change this Apache web server to some other, let's say, some other web server, Nginx web server. Okay, I'll do it. Fine. Next, this is first day, second day, 30th day, I changed my infrastructure. I modified somehow. On the 60th day, on third month or second month, again, my manager will come. See, Sachin, again, you need to change this from Nginx to some ABC web server. Okay, I'll do it. Now, just like that, after 2 years or 3 years, again, my manager will come to the same EC2 instance and he will tell me that, Sachin, now what you need to do, you need to go back to the first day infrastructure. Whatever the infrastructure that you had on a first day of our project, I wanted to go back to that project. Now, what is the problem here? Yes, we can go back. But here I'm just explaining you, that is fine. But in real time, what happens? Are you storing the history here? History or version of your EC2 instance? What is happening to your EC2 instance? You are not storing. Is it possible to go back to the first day infrastructure what you had? It is not possible because you are not storing the history here, right? So in imperative method, what is the third problem? You are not going to Oh, let's see. Wait a second. You'll not be having the history of your infrastructure. Okay. That is the third problem here. No history is saved or version is not saved. This is the third problem. And now let's say, sir, any questions here from anyone before I move to next things? Okay. I hope there are no questions. So now, whatever the infrastructure that you get using your imperative method, okay, we call these kind of infrastructure as a mutable infrastructure. Mutable infrastructure. Okay. What do you mean by mutable infrastructure? Anybody? Anyone? I think you already know the meaning of this one.
Interchangeable, sir. Like,
Yes, yes. See, what is mutable infrastructure? Let me, like, I'll write it down here. Infrastructure, where I'll just tell you like that, sir. See, infrastructure where you will not be able to track history, and the same infrastructure, what is going to get modified again and again. That kind of infrastructure, we call it as a mutable infrastructure. That is what I was trying to explain. The same infrastructure is going to get modified again and again, and you'll not be having a history. Okay. This kind of infrastructure, we call it as a mutable infrastructure. Clear? So now in imperative method, what is imperative method? You are going to create an infrastructure in a step-by-step approach using some programming language. What is the problem with imperative method? The problem is you need to create a lot of documents. It is not a scalable approach. No history is tracked here. And whatever the infrastructure that you get using imperative method, it is a mutable infrastructure. What is mutable infrastructure? The same infrastructure which is going to get modified again and again, and there is no history is tracked. So that kind of infrastructure, we call it as a mutable infrastructure. Okay. I hope you are clear till here. I need a space here. So see, mutable, if there is no history, how can we modify again and again? History in the sense, sir, you will be having a EC2 instance, correct? You will have a EC2 instance, but are you going to store? See, today EC2 instance is having 8 GB of volume, 10 GB of memory, something like that. That history I'm talking about. Anyway, you'll have a EC2 machine, right? Your EC2 machine exists, but you are not storing the history of this machine. What is happening to this machine? Are you storing here? Till now, did you store? No, right? So that is the history, not in terms of mutability. You are talking about history. How can I modify anything? You are talking about EC2 instance. Okay, not that history. Yeah. So now is mutable. Now the third way of creating infrastructure, we call it as a declarative way of creating an infrastructure. Declarative. Very easy now. If you understood this imperative, that's it. Okay. See, just to come out of these problems, whatever the problems you have, and to come out of these problems, we have something called as declarative. What is this declarative? I'll talk about that. Now, here you no need to create a lot of documents, and whatever the infrastructure that you get is a scalable infrastructure. Instead of creating multiple files or multiple copying, you used to copy this Python programming everywhere, right? No need to copy that. You just need to provide the number here, how many instances you want. And your Terraform has the intelligence to create those many instances. So it is a scalable approach. And here a history can be tracked. Here history can be tracked, and whatever the infrastructure that you get here in declarative method, it is a immutable infrastructure. Okay. So here you used to get a mutable infrastructure, same infrastructure, which is getting modified again and again. But here in declarative method, it is a, you no need to create a lot of documents. You need to, it is a scalable approach. It is the history can be tracked, and whatever the infrastructure that you get using declarative method is a immutable infrastructure. That is, the same infrastructure is not going to get modified again and again. Okay. And history can be tracked here. How to track? We'll see that. Just understand the theory first. Fine. And now there is another word I need to introduce. Let me erase this first. Okay. See, here you no need to create a lot of documents. It is a scalable approach, and in whose history can be tracked here, and it is a immutable infrastructure. Right? These things you understood. One more word, it is a cloud agnostic solution. Whatever the infrastructure that you get using declarative method, it is a cloud agnostic solution. What is the meaning of cloud agnostic solution? See, I'm going to write some file. I'm going to create some file. What is that file? You don't worry. Just imagine this is kind of a file. And the same file can be used for your AWS cloud. Same thing can be used for GCP cloud. Same thing can be used for Azure or any other clouds. Okay. One file can be used to create an infrastructure in many of the cloud services. That is the meaning of your cloud agnostic solution. Okay. One script can be executed in multiple places. Right? That is the meaning of cloud agnostic solution. But here it is not a cloud agnostic solution. Your imperative method is not a cloud agnostic solution. Okay. I hope you understood everything here. See, whatever I covered for 30 minutes, let me complete it in 2 or 3 minutes. What is infrastructure? What is infrastructure? Infrastructure is nothing but your hardware, your software, your network, your people, process, all these things are the infrastructure. Right? There are two infrastructures. One is a laptop, which is required for you to work. The other infrastructure is nothing but your EC2 machines, your cloud services, which are required to host your application. Right? Now, we are talking about your cloud infrastructure here. Correct? And if you wanted to create this cloud infrastructure, there are different methods. We have three ways. First one is using your AWS console. Just click on some buttons, you can able to create some infrastructure. Your EC2 machines, S3 bucket, create S3 bucket, there is a button, you create that, you click on that, you can able to create it. The second method is imperative method. What is this imperative method? Here, you are going to use some programming language. Using this programming language, you are going to create the infrastructure in a step-by-step approach. But what are the problems in imperative method? You need to create a lot of documents. It is not a scalable approach. No history can be tracked. And whatever the infrastructure that you get here in imperative method, it is nothing but a mutable infrastructure. That is the same infrastructure which is getting modified again and again. This is what imperative is. Now, to come out of these problems, we have another solution known as declarative. Here, it solves all these problems. You don't need to create a lot of documents. It is a scalable approach. History can be tracked. It is, and whatever the infrastructure that you get in a declarative method is a immutable infrastructure. And at the same time, it is a cloud agnostic solution. Same scripts can be applied to multiple EC2 instances, multiple clouds with some changes, minimal changes. Okay, not the same. So that is a cloud agnostic solution. And it is not a, your imperative way of creating infrastructure is not a cloud agnostic solution. Now, please tell me if you have any questions. Any doubts here from anyone? If you're not understanding, please. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for you. Not difficult, it's very easy. You just need a right concept. That's it. Okay. Now, any question? In declarative also we using programming language, sir? No, sir. This is not a programming language. This is kind of a, again, it is kind of a language, but not a programming language. See, please be clear. You will use programming language. Oh, there is this. Programming language, and there is something called as scripting languages. Okay. See, your programming language is Python, Java, C, C++, all those things. You will not be using this programming language in your day-to-day work, at least for the 90% of the time you'll not use. In 10%, there are chances based on your position, based on your work culture. Mostly you will use Python. If you got the opportunity to work under this thing, it is good. When it comes to scripting, see, scripting is all about these things. Your declarative way of creating the infrastructure. See, these programming languages are quite not difficult. Something you will feel like if condition, else condition, all those things. But here in scripting, you will straightforward methods, sir. See, just like imagine that you two persons are talking to each other. This is your AWS cloud and this is you. This is your Terraform. Now what you will do, see, Terraform, I want to create an infrastructure in AWS. Go and create EC2. How will you create? I'll give you one file. Using this file, take this file and go to AWS cloud and create this. It will go and create. You are not going to do it. You just need to write this file. How to write this? Very, very easy. It is straightforward method. No need to very like, oh, okay, this is programming language. Please remove that fear from your mind. This is not a programming language. Fine. So here, the next point here is, now I did not explain you what is declarative way, correct? See, the declarative way in the sense, just see, whatever the infrastructure you get is a immutable infrastructure. Now, what is a declarative way? Here in declarative way, we just, this is problem for me here. We just need to tell what we want, and how to do it. How to do it will be I'm writing here, taken care by automation. Okay, this is what the declarative way of creating an infrastructure. We just need to tell what we want through our file and how to do it. It will be taken care by your Terraform tool. That is what a declarative approach. And whatever the approach you are following for creating this infrastructure is declarative. And what is the advantage of declarative? All these things: scalable, history, immutable, cloud agnostic solution, everything. Sir, please go through this. I've seen people who made a tremendous improvement in their interviews just by this page. Whenever they talk about infrastructure, everybody will talk about, yeah, Terraform uses to create infrastructure. Everything is fine. But why you are using Terraform here? Because of these things. Your declarative way, all these things. Right? So that is the reason you are using all these things, sir. Okay. So please go through this. So I'll delete this. Not required. Now, in your declarative way of creating an infrastructure, in declarative way, see, there are different tools can be used to create an infrastructure. The first tool is Terraform. That is what we are going to learn. The second tool is something called as Pulumi. Pulumi is a competitor tool for Terraform. Okay. Next is a CloudFormation. CloudFormation is another tool. Just like that, we have so many things. And this CloudFormation, you have a AWS cloud, right? This is your AWS. This CloudFormation, again, it is one of the service inside your AWS. And if you wanted to create the infrastructure using some code, then you can use this CloudFormation. But what is the problem with CloudFormation? It will work only for the AWS. If you want to create an infrastructure using same CloudFormation in Azure cloud, it will not work. CloudFormation is local to AWS, not for Azure. In Azure, you have Azure ARM templates, just like your CloudFormation. It is local to Azure cloud. It will not work for AWS or GCP, any other clouds. But your Terraform Pulumi, it will work for all the clouds. Whichever the cloud you name it, it will work. That is the advantage of using your Terraform. Okay. So now, in declarative way, these are the tools. In those tools, the first tool we are going to learn is Terraform. Right? Now, please tell me, what do you mean by Terraform? Now you understood something mutable, immutable, everything. Now tell me, what is Terraform now? Can I say Terraform is a infrastructure automation tool? Terraform is an infrastructure automation tool which helps us to create a new infrastructure. Correct? New infrastructure, create a new infrastructure, modify the existing infrastructure, and at the same time, all the changes, whatever the changes, all the changes can be tracked here, can be tracked. Don't worry about my handwriting. That's why I'm explaining. Okay. Terraform is an infrastructure automation tool which helps us to create an infrastructure, modify the existing infrastructure, and at the same time, all the changes that you are trying to do can be tracked in terms of history. right? These are the advantages of using Terraform, or what is Terraform. Okay, now that is the one thing. What is Terraform? This is done. See, do we have a time? Yeah. See, Terraform works on a concept known as infrastructure as a code. Please remember this. Terraform is an infrastructure automation tool wherein you will be having everything is tracked. You can able to modify, everything is done. Now, Terraform works on a concept known as infrastructure as a code. What is this infrastructure as a code? See, now my manager will come and he'll say, see Sachin, I want a EC2 instance, I want a VPC, I want a security group or something like that. First way, just go to AWS console and you start creating your infrastructure. But is it recommended to create this EC2 instances or VPC or security group? Yes, it is recommended. It is a easy way, right? But what is the problem here? Here also history cannot be tracked. Whatever the infrastructure that you have 6 months back, the same infrastructure you cannot be able to create here. So now what you can use, instead of using your AWS console, you will start using Terraform. In Terraform, what you will do, you will start writing some file. Okay, what is this file? How to write this? Everything is, I'll take it. No worries. You will start writing some file in one of the language known as HCL, HashiCorp language. In HashiCorp language, you're going to write some commands here straight away. Okay, it's very easy, no worries. You're going to write this file and you will execute this. And this Terraform will create your EC2 instance, your VPC, your security group, everything it is going to create. You are not going to create. Who will create? On behalf of you, Terraform is going to create the infrastructure. For creating that infrastructure, what do you need to do? You need to create this file. Once the file is ready, you need to give it to the Terraform and Terraform will create this infrastructure. That's it. Fine. So infrastructure as a code is a concept, right? We are going to tell it in a file, whatever the infrastructure that you need, we are going to tell it in a file. In some file, see, I want some EC2 instance. You're going to tell it in a file. And by writing some syntax, which Terraform understands some language using HCL, we are going to write it. And using this method, we'll be creating an infrastructure. So this concept, we'll call it as an infrastructure as a code. Clear? So we discuss some things today. The first one is what is declarative way, imperative way, how to do it, what is everything we discuss. Then we discuss different declarative approach. The first one is Terraform. Then I discuss what is Terraform. Then Terraform works on a concept known as infrastructure as a code. Now, at least if you're doing it for the first time, what is infrastructure as a code? Just remember, you're going to write some file in one of the language known as HCL, HashiCorp language, and you're going to give it to the Terraform, and Terraform will create whatever the infrastructure that you want. EC2 instance you want, or VPC you want security group, where it will create inside your AWS or any of the cloud. This is what you're going to do, right? So this will start learning it from tomorrow, right? But as of now, what you just need to do, just need to go back and revise whatever I did today. I do have some other things, but let me do it tomorrow. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, any other doubts? In declarative, also we use programming language. So it will create infra as a declarative approach. So I think I answered this question. Yeah. So this is what your Terraform. It's very, very simple tool. No need to worry. Sir, I might take 10 to 12 days for completing your Terraform, complete Terraform, basic to advanced. Okay. And like for next 12 days, we'll be covering your Terraform. After that, maximum maybe for 5 to 6 days, we'll see another tool known as Ansible. Okay. This is what a plan is. Maximum, I wanted to cover it by November 10th. November 10th, we'll be covering these two tools maximum. And once it is done, we'll start with Docker and Kubernetes. Okay. Maximum time, somebody asked me, sir, it is getting late or something like that. So it is not getting late. It is delayed only by 15 days. As I promised you, we'll cover it in 5 or 5.5 months. It is no, 4 to 4.5 months. It is getting delayed by 15 days, 5 months. Okay. Not behind that. Maybe 1 or 2 days here and there. That's it. Now, just focus on this Terraform. Please go back, revise each and everything. Sir, why I'm focusing more here? Let me tell you one thing. Whenever you sit for interview, whenever you sit for interview, the first tool they'll focus on a priority basis. The first tool is Kubernetes. KAS. Kubernetes is the first tool. The second one is your AWS. The third tool is going to be your Terraform. Fourth tool is going to be your Docker. Not Docker, I'll say. Docker, I won't say. The The third tool, fourth tool I'm going to say is Prometheus and Grafana. Fifth is your CI/CD. Okay, on a priority basis. In some interviews, you will not see these two or the below whatever things come in, right? Will not see that. They'll be just focused on Kubernetes, AWS, Terraform. Only these things. In some interviews, they'll only ask you some Prometheus and Grafana. In some interviews, they'll only ask you about CI/CD. It depends. But whatever the interviews that I see today, mostly focused on Kubernetes, AWS, and Terraform. Okay. So the next tool you must be focusing is Prometheus, Grafana. Then comes your Docker. Then comes your Ansible. Right. Then comes your GitHub. Then the last tool is Linux. You'll be also learning some additional tools here. Your SonarQube, your what is that? Trivy, X-ray. Then there are so many tools here. It's a small. It is all these things are integrated under CSC, right? But that is the reason. Just focus on, yes, sir. CACD is nothing but Jenkins. Okay, right? So these are the things. Just follow this order. Now we have completed AWS. Focus on it. Whatever things that we learned till today, focus on it. Now within 10 days, you'll learn Terraform, right? Then you will start learning Ansible. Okay. Then you are just left with, see, next things will not take much time. Docker maybe max to max 7 to 8 days. Kubernetes max to max 20 to 20 days maximum. Your Prometheus and Grafana max to max 5 days. Okay. CATCD max to max 10 days. Within 2 months, by end of December, we'll complete everything. Okay. The only thing it will take time is AWS. Now everything goes in a smooth way. Fine. So that is being said, please focus on learning Terraform and do not forget the older things, your AWS, everything. Just keep revising. Fine. So that's it for today. If there are no other questions, we can wind up.
Sir, just one
Yes.
request. If
Yes.
you possible, just upload those project videos, sir, for the AWS.
Yeah, sir. I'll do it. No worries. Like,
Yeah, not urgent, just when you have time, because we can learn there so much.
yeah. No. I'll do it, sir. No worries.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. That's it from mine. Thank you. See you tomorrow.